This is the part 2 of my 5-part series where I'm going to take you through all the 5 foundation principles of effective and confident communication. In my previous video, we talked about how rate of speech is important and how you can use it to make your conversation more engaging and make sure that your audience is hooked into your conversation. But today, we're going to dive even deeper into this topic. Based on the feedback I've got from my students and the clients I help with, once they excel this foundation principle that I'm going to talk today, they just completely changed their conversation or the way they speak. This, I believe, is one of the most important foundation principle for anyone, no matter if you are an Indian person moving abroad or even if you are a native speaker. And before we jump into the video, let me tell you a personal and rather an embarrassing story of mine which happened to me a few years ago. I remember it was the time when I was about to finish my first year in the university here in Melbourne, and I got the opportunity to present my findings of the project I was working on for the whole year in front of 40 people. Being not so confident speaker back in the days, I was obviously nervous, but then what happened was just blew my mind. I was trying to practice my presentation and I asked my mentor to sit next to me and give me some suggestions. I was 70% or more than halfway through the conversation or presenting my findings to him. He was like, "Hey mate, can you please speak up?" I got so nervous and I panicked. I thought that in my head, I was already speaking loud enough, but for him, he couldn't even listen to what I was saying. Then I somehow forced myself to speak louder, and that's when he said that this is the first time in last 6 months I've actually heard your voice, how you sound like. I was shocked. I thought I was speaking at a very good volume, but for the people who are listening to me, they could not listen to me. So this is the second foundation principle of an effective communication that we're going to talk about. How to use your volume to make your communication more engaging and how to put life to what you're saying. At the end of the day, what happened is I end up speaking loudly, and that's when the conversation got more engaging and everybody loved my presentation. But that experience of embarrassing story gave me a very important conclusion, that your volume adds some life to what you're saying, and it also helps you hook your audience into your conversation along the rate of speech. Now let's talk about why volume is important and what effectiveness or what engagement it adds to your conversation. Let's imagine on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the loudest and 1 being the most softest volume. Let's say I talk at, let's say, scale 3. I will sound like this. "Hi all, my name is Omkar. I'm so happy to be here. Today we're going to talk about how the second foundation principle, volume, is going to make your conversation more engaging." You see the difference? Not at all alive. You see, my body language even gets down. But it doesn't mean you should always talk on the scale of 10. It will sound like, "Hi all, welcome to my channel, and I'm very happy to talk about the volume and how we can use volume as the second foundation principle of being an effective communicator." Not at all. 10 is an extreme, 1 is other side of the extreme. So for context, since the video has started, I'm talking about a good level of 6 to 7, which is kind of a soft spot, because this medium of conversation where I'm recording myself and you guys are seeing this video on your phones, your laptops or your iPads, this is the sweet spot to make an online video much more engaging. This would be slightly different if I will be talking in person with you one-on-one, or it will be slightly different if I'm talking to 4 people in person or even a group of 20 people. This will change, and we're gonna see in the later part of the video how it's gonna change. Now, to give you a test of how different volume levels affects the engagement of the conversation, I have this book, one of my favorite books, which is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I've selected a small paragraph which I'm gonna read both at level 3 and level 7, and you can see the difference. Here we go. Now, let's go. This is level 3. "We always trying to present our best selves to the world. We comb our hair and brush our teeth and dress other observe carefully because we know these habits are likely to get positive reaction." You see, even though it has an important message in the paragraph, you might be wondering why this person is talking so low volume. But on the other hand, if I talk at, let's say, a volume of 6 to 7, how drastically it will make this paragraph alive. We are always trying to present our best values to the world. We comb our hairs, we brush our teeth, and we dress ourselves carefully because we know that habits like this gets a positive feedback. You see, not only my volume gone up, my body language changed. I started to use the bigger room, which makes me come off as a very confident and effective communicator because your volume is directly linked with your body. When you speak at a default speech of, let's say, volume 3, you start to shrink yourself. But the moment you just break those shackles and started talking at volume 6 or 7 level, you start to use your body language, your hands, and it just flows naturally. So that's what I say, that it's not only volume, it also affects your overall body language as well. Now let me tackle a very important question. Why Indian people who have moved abroad struggle with increasing their volume? The simplest answer for that is in their head, volume 3 is the loudest they should speak. However, in reality, 3 is kind of a very slowed down version for the whole world. I remember in my previous one-on-one consultation, I asked one of my students to go from volume 3 to volume 7. And they started feeling, just after 4 or 5 sentences, they started asking me, it feels like I was screaming at you. Was I too loud? Please give me your honest feedback. And I was like, no, you were not loud at all. This is the first time when our conversation was way engaging and I felt that you are really interested into the conversation. Based on this feedback, the point that I'm going to trying to make you here is once you add in that volume, it just brings life to the things you're talking about. It characterizes 4 things for you. First of all, you come off as a confident speaker. Second of all, you get credibility and people think that you really believe in what you're saying when you speak loudly. Third thing is it gives you vitality for the things you're talking about. And the fourth and the most important thing is you get to connect with the audience that you're speaking to. So these are 4 of the most important benefits when you start to play with the volume and start to speak slightly louder than your previous self. And as I promised in the first part of the video, I'm going to tell you how to use your volume in the right situation. Because one of the very common questions I get to ask from my students is, what about the volume when you're talking one-on-one in person, when you're talking to 4 to 5 people, or you're talking to 50 or 100 people? How should you dictate your volume? And now I'm going to give you a golden rule which will solve all of your questions and problems here. And now the golden rule is be as big as your room. That's it. I'll say it again. Be as big as your room. What I mean by that is, let's say if I'm having a one-on-one conversation with somebody, if I talk continuously at a volume of 8, they might feel that it's too much. For example, if I'm having a lunch with you, and the moment I see you, I said, oh my God, I'm so happy to see you. I'm so excited for the lunch. Look at that chicken. It's so juicy and delicious. You might think, oh my God, I think Omkar is on drugs. This is what's going to happen. Because that volume is too loud for the room you're in, which is one-on-one conversation. And as I said before, this is like a typical 6 to 7 volume that I'm speaking to, because I wanted to make this video, or I wanted to make this kind of medium of conversation more engaging, and that's why I'm putting in more energy than needed. This won't be the natural energy that I'll be speaking to in one-on-one conversation. And let's say I'm using the same amount of energy I just showed when I was going on a lunch with my friend. If I use the same energy in the room full of 50 people, that might be the relevant room for that. So you see how different voice modulation or different volume modulation you can use in one-on-one conversations, a group of 4 to 5 small group of people, or a group of 40 and above for bigger kind of people. Just add in that volume, add in that energy, depends on how big of the room you are in people. And now at the end of the video, just like I said in my previous video, how rate of speech can be used to hook the people into your conversation, volume adds in liveliness to your conversation. So make sure you not only focus on the rate of speech, you start to focus on volume as well. And this, I feel that one of the most important foundation of an effective communication. So to wrap up, low volume, let's say volume 3 or volume 2 level. Lack of confidence doesn't give you credibility. However, volume at 6, 5, 6, 7 gives you a lot of liveliness. People feel you're confident and they believe that whatever you're talking about, you really believe into it. That's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode where I'm gonna discuss about the third foundation principle. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching.